So for this tutorial, you're going to need obviously your truck. You're going to need, well, for me in my case, it's my 4 winter tires and rims. And then I'm putting on my summer tires and rims here. So you'll need both sets of those. That's kind of a no-brainer. Make sure you have a jack, obviously, so you can lift your truck off the ground. I recommend having mats. You're also going to need a small tipped lever of some sort to get off the caps. And you're also going to need a hammer drill. And make sure that you have the right sized bit for it. And in my case, you might also need a drone, because I can't do half this stuff without being overkill and using a drone. So that's what you just saw. So let's get to this. The first thing you're going to want to do is jack up the front. Pretty easy. I'd use supports. Make sure everything's working properly. Obviously, before you use them, you don't want anything falling on you. And like I said, make sure you have something to support your truck just in case the jack fails on you. So if you have a first generation Sport Trac and you're jacking it up, this is the place to do so. So for my 2001 Ford Explorer Sport Trac, you're going to need a 19mm socket for the end of your hammer drill. First thing you're going to do is find the little notch right here, put it in the end, and you're just going to take this guy off. Pretty simple, not too hard. So in my case, I need doctor gloves just because my brakes are a little dusty, and I'd just rather not get that on my hands. So what I have here is a high demand battery on this impact tool here. So because of that, I don't need to initially wrench this off with another tool, but in your case, you might need to do that just to get it going, and then this will do the rest of the job. So I'll continue with this. So since I'm putting on the summer tires, these specific tires are not directional, which means it doesn't matter where I put which tire. When it comes to winter tires, most of the time they're going to be directional. So what that means is that it matters where you put them. So in my case, I can put whichever one of these 4 wheels wherever I want. But if it was the reverse situation and I was putting on the winter tires, you want to make sure that you always know which tire goes where. Find a way to label it if this is the first time you're taking off your winter tires. To get the tire on, sometimes you might need help from a friend, but in my case I could do this by myself since they're not very big. I got quite a small truck, but if you're driving a massive 3500 Ram, yeah, I'd recommend that unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or Bradley Martin, I'd bring someone to help you do this. I recommend that you put on some medium grease about once to twice a year, depending on how often you're changing your tires. This just helps it get off the next time. So first I recommend you line these up with your fingers, and then after they're lined up and the thread's all good, you can use the impact to do the rest of the job. So I recommend going across and never do the 2 next to each other. Okay, now we're just going to go and do the other side. So now that we have our front end down, we're just going to make sure that these are tight with our extendable wrench. Again, is a 19mm socket at the end. Just give it a couple good tugs and you should be good. After that's done, do the same on the other side, and then put on your caps. When you're jacking up the back, just put it underneath the rear differential, and that'll be fine. Alright, so obviously after sitting around for multiple months on end, as our winters never seem to end, these tires will have gone a little flat. So you just want to check to see how much PSI there is. These ones specifically take 44 PSI. And I bet you they're going to be under that. So these are sitting at about 36, which is way too low. So we want to crank these guys up. There we go. Remember to put the cap back on and do the same for the other tires. So that front left tire is actually an odd one out. The rest of these tires have freaking bullet caps. So this one's about 37. So again, way too low. Put your bullet caps back on.